La da da dee, la dee, la da da dee, la 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 la
Rosa of the Wild Grass is a true story told by Rosa and her mother Maria and her extended family. They live in La Concha, a small rural town not far from the capital, Managua. Theirs is a story of a community spirit that grew like wild grass. It was strong enough to survive the darkest days of the Somoza dictatorship. It's this community spirit which made the Sandinista revolution and the transformations it brought. This is a spirit that could not be destroyed by the Contra War or the subsequent decades of poverty. Did you hear Marcos banging on the door last night? What a racket! Madre mia, let me in. Son of a bitch, this is my bloody house. Bring your coffee. We can talk under the tree. His mind gets working when he's drunk, especially when I'm home. At his interest rates, Domingo only had to bide his time until a poor harvest, wait till the farmers couldn't pay, and then he'd have them turfed off their land. That was how he gained more and more until he had an enormous amount of land. I like what my priest says about life is to be made better here, in this life, not in the next. He asks, why would Christ want us going about with heads bowed down? I woke to this noise, a rumbling sound like a cart carrying a load of stones. Rosa, said Doña Paulina, something very bad is going to happen. If it was the Nahual cart, I knew it was surely a sign. The Nahual cart is the spirit of death the Spanish brought at the time of the conquest, when they enslaved and killed us. That year in April was the final offensive, and Somoza's National Guard was being stretched thin. The Guardia in La Concha did a house-to-house search, but by then the muchachos were long gone, and so was I. I was running here and there, and my baby, I worried that I might miscarry. The government delegation was on its way to negotiate an end of the fighting with the Contra. They drove past, and there we were, all along the Messiah Highway, waving and dancing with hundreds of others. It made me feel good. We were sending a message of what we are made of. My husband had been to a wake and was walking back in the early morning. A woman was walking some way behind him with a lit candle on her head. She'd cast a spell. For the faster he walked, the less ground he covered, and the closer she came. As she drew near, she suddenly vanished into thin air. She was a witch. Doña Eva found the little statue of the saint in a pool on her way home from Lake Venecia, and understood this to be her calling. Every year, she celebrated the Saint's Day with a fiesta, and every year more and more devotees came, and this way she could afford to build the saint his chapel. When a doctor did finally see Mum, he said they needed us to buy all the medicine she'd need, and he wrote down a long list. They couldn't provide anything. Unbelievable. It was already 10 o'clock at night when Geraldo and I set off on the bike. We must have gone to every drugstore still open. After an hour, we had everything but the surgical thread. All those years Angelica went to school, she had to carry her own chair. She had a bald patch to prove it. Ruben had ended up there after a whole week binge drinking with his mates. He'd no money for proper hospital treatment. It was poverty that killed him. But his drinking would have stopped him ever fully recovering. His drinking had completely taken over. He was only 54 years old when he died. Oh, far too young. Look how prepared we were for Hurricane Joan. Every school closed, mums with babies and kids were moved to the church, and we had milk, coffee and bread to share out. Everyone was weighing down their roof with tyres and stones. What I'm saying is that because we were so well prepared and organised, we got through that crisis. We also visited camps for homeless folk nearby to offer to help set up their own soya kitchens. The women brought their children every day, and together we cooked and ate. We always made enough for everyone. What she said, I'll always remember. Here we are, feasting, laughing, and all on soya. And to think how we were. Working together in the project has given me strength, pulled me out of my depression. I think I can say that's probably true for all of us. Leaving Managua was the hardest decision I've ever made. I had roots in La Concha, but in the barrio, I had made so many friends, so many good folk I'd worked with. 25 years is a long time, and we did whatever was needed, from water taps to land titles. What achievements! The school, the kids' centre, and Soya Nica.
La 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 la.